Hey, everybody. Welcome into the Southeastern 14. This is a week one betting preview of the Louisiana Monroe Warhawks at the Kentucky Wildcats. This is a week one game, Saturday, September 4th, noon Eastern kick at Kroger Field. So we're really excited to break that down. Right now, we've got Wildcats with a 31-point favorite in this game. Weather looks good. Christopher Smith, I'm here with you. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm really excited to get the season kicked off from a betting standpoint. I know we have a game on Thursday night with Tennessee. If you're watching this, it's probably already happened, but this is the first SEC Saturday game of the season. So I'm really excited about that. We'll get a little bit of a new look Kentucky Wildcats this season. So why don't we jump straight into Nick's news and notes and tell us the headlines leading into this one for the Kentucky Wildcats, Nick.
Yeah, sure. So there's three things that I'm looking at going into this game. The first one is, what does Kentucky's offense look like this season? We've got a new quarterback in a Penn State transfer, Will Levis, and he's got a new offensive coordinator. Liam Cohen comes from the Los Angeles Rams. He was a quarterback's coach there. Now he's their offensive coordinator. Really interested to see if that sort of spurs change to a Mark Stoops offense that has maybe some people would say become stale over the years. And so that could play into the betting on this quite a bit. The other thing, that everybody's been talking about when you're talking about Kentucky football, unfortunately, is an off the field incident where we've got they were up to now 7 players that are suspended for the Wildcats for this week one game. And so not many players involved in this were starters, but it still is an impact on the depth for the team, but then also just has how much of a distraction has that been, right? And then the third thing I'm looking at is we probably, our listeners may not know a whole lot about Louisiana Monroe, but they may know about some of the people involved with this program. It's actually, they just hired Terry Bowden a long time ago, coached at Auburn, right? And he's brought on Rich Rodriguez of Rich Rod fame as his offensive coordinator, who, by the way, has his son playing quarterback for this team. So a whole bunch of dynamics there that could make for an interesting watch, if nothing else.
Yeah, and if you look at the betting lines for this game, you can see that the line opened at Kentucky minus 28.5, and the over-under started out at 52.5. You're seeing 31 for the side and 54 for the total now. So the betting markets seem to be indicating that it really likes Kentucky, moving from sort of that a little bit north of 4 touchdowns, closer to, at least 5 scores difference there, and then the total liking the possibility for a little bit more points than we're used to seeing from Kentucky. Now, speaking of points, you look at the last 4 seasons under Mark Stoops with Eddie Gran most recently as the offensive coordinator, and they only averaged 4 games where they even scored 31 or more points for each of the seasons. Now the line here is 31. So if you don't score 31 points, you're not going to cover that. If you don't score more than 31 points, you're not going to cover that spread. Kentucky is also 1-3 ATS when they're favored by at least 30 points in the last 5 seasons. So, there's a lot of questions with how Kentucky's offense will look. As you mentioned, not only Will Levis at quarterback, but you have the Nebraska transfer, Wan'Dale Robinson at receiver, and Liam Cohen, the former Rams assistant. There's some questions anytime that you're installing sort of a NFL offense at the college level. These kids still have responsibilities in school, even though NIL is here and they're getting paid a little bit more money now to play. And they're not practicing, they're not in meetings and they're not practicing 60 hours a week. So we'll see if the offense they install is simple enough for college kids to run. And also, it appears the betting market's already pricing in some improvement for Kentucky on offense. You look at SP Plus has the game Kentucky around 24.5 point favorite, and you look at like the line opened at 28 and has grown to 31. So also you got to think that Kentucky might save a few things for Missouri next week in their SEC opener. They do have Christopher Rodriguez, who I think is one of the SEC's most underrated players at any position at running back. But Kentucky wasted just what was an amazing offensive line last year with that just horrible offense they they put out there. It would have been fun to see maybe this personnel at receiver and quarterback and this coordinator with last year's O-line. But even so, I think Kentucky's good enough up front if they want to just maul ULM on the ground game the entire game, or at least in the second half when it gets out of touch. So personally, I wouldn't consider betting Kentucky at 31 or more. If I see a Kentucky minus 30.5 or less, then maybe I would consider it. There's only 5 starters back for Kentucky on defense, and ULM's offense can only get better from last season. So if they score a few times, it's going to be tough for Kentucky, even with the offensive improvement, to cover 31 or more than 31. That's just a huge number. But just for the sake of this show, I'll take Kentucky minus 31. And I'll also go with the betting market here and not try to go against them and side with over 54 on the total. But this is our first Saturday pick of the year. Nick, what do you have for this game, and do you think you're going to start out with a win over me here?
Well, I agree with you on one side of this, so I'm not going to beat you on one. I agree with you on the over of 54. I think that's if you're asking me which I like best out of all these options, that's it for this game. Like you said, Kentucky, it only brings back a few starters on defense. I do think that they will try to showcase their new offense. So I think points will be available, especially against this Louisiana Monroe defense. However, I do think I want ULM and the 31 points. If I'm picking the spread here, I just think that's a little bit too rich to cover for an offense that while I'm hoping it's improved, maybe not putting up the amount of points that I need to both cover the over and cover 31.5. So I think I'm going to rely on Rich Rod to get me a couple touchdowns to get us over, and also keep us within that 31 points.
Well, that sounds great. I guess we'll find out soon. Make sure you stay tuned to Southeastern 14 for the whole season. Nick and I will be going through every single game from a betting perspective. And of course, hopefully I'll be making you a little bit more money than Nick, but we'll see how it goes as the season goes along. And for Nick Cole, I'm Christopher Smith, signing off for Southeastern 14.